Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome. This is the new studio that if you're watching my YouTube videos that I've been uploading recently, this is what I've been putting together. It's taken a lot of work, but took down a bunch of shelves back here, respackled, painted everything, put up some actual good lights and everything, and got this desk workbench sort of thing. So this is going to be the setup. Really excited about this. It feels like a real, proper, YouTube studio setup. So really excited about it. Thanks for joining. Just going to do, just like a fun, kind of like Tuesday nights have been recently in the past, just like a question and answer, just kind of talking about training, how things are going. If you've got questions, drop them in the chat and I will answer them. But yeah, so first things first, we're just going to give a few more seconds for a few more people to join. It looks like there's a few here already, and I'll be right back. All right. So we already got a few people in here. Eric the Red, what's up? Nice lighting setup. Thank you very much. Yeah, lighting is like one of the most important things with YouTube and video production in general. I mean, you can get all sorts of nice cameras, and I mean, you got to have a camera, you got to have a lens, you got to have everything, like the basics, but then lighting is like a big deal when it comes to it. But yeah, thanks. Matthew says, looks great. Awesome. Thanks, Matthew, for joining. Jody runs. Good day, everyone. Man, this is awesome, guys. Terry Joe says, looks nice. Thanks. Yeah. So, yeah, hope you guys are doing well. If you want to, throw in the chat where you guys are watching from. I think that'd be fun. We've never done that before, but just to get an idea of where everyone is. I'm here in the United States in Indiana. It's 9 p.m. here, but I know that is not the same for everybody. Some people might be watching it. Some people might be watching this on the other side of the world, maybe. I don't know. Some people at different time zones, and then there's going to be a lot of people that watch this, that watch the replay. So if you're here live, thank you for joining, and yeah, just go ahead and drop in the chat where you're from. That'd be really, really cool. Jody, Brisbane, Australia. That really is on the other side of the world. I was kind of joking about that, but that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Cool. Hey, what's up, Dan? Watching from your neighbor, Illinois. Nice. And, Jody is actually, you're already in tomorrow, which is really cool. 11 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. That's awesome. Terry Joe is from Saginaw, Michigan. That's cool. I've been up to Michigan one time. I spent the summer up in Traverse City. That was pretty awesome. I was doing some mission work up there, so that was really cool. Let's see. Where's everyone else from? Matthew is from beautiful and sunny Akron, Ohio. Nice. Yeah, it's been really sunny and hot here as well. Red Springs Runner, Hoosier. Yeah, Indiana. Awesome. Jonathan Western watching from Boston, so long as the power doesn't go out. Is it storming in Boston? And then Eric, I am to neighbor Chicago. Flat runs are us. Yep, flat runs, that's for sure. Totally. Well, yeah, thanks again for joining, guys. Dan, hey, Ryan, just finished up the Triple Crown series a few days ago. Super inspiring, man. Great work. Thanks. What he's talking about, if you guys don't know, which you probably do, because I talk about it all the time, is the Triple Crown series. Running the Triple Crown is what it's called. And it's a 6-part documentary series where I followed around Rob Stager from Training for Ultra as he did his 3 200-mile runs, the Bigfoot 200, Tahoe 200, and the Moab 240. If you want to watch it, you can find it on Amazon right now for US and UK people. And then anybody else, anywhere else in the world, you can watch it on Vimeo. So I think I have a link down. I think I have a link in the description right here. So if you guys haven't heard of that and you're interested in watching documentary series, each episode's about 30 minutes long. So 6 of them. So a lot of entertainment, maybe. Hopefully you guys don't think it's boring. I think it's pretty cool. But Red Springs Runner, do you have a future podcast idea? Yeah, that's one thing. So, I do have a podcast. You can find it on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher and all those places. That is the one thing that that was like the one thing that had to go when I got so busy with the Triple Crown. It was just, I love the podcast, but I just haven't been able to, over the last couple months, put the time into putting any episodes out. But I'm really hoping to. I would love to get back into that, and I think podcasting is one of my. So when I run, most of my road runs, like from my house and everything, I take headphones. And I listen to like podcasts or an audiobook or something. I'm signed up with Audible, so I get 1 book a month. And then I usually listen to that 2 or 3 times over the course of the month while I'm running. But then a lot of podcasts too. So a lot of the podcasts I listen to, I don't listen to a lot of running podcasts. I listen to mostly like film, production, sort of podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts is, I actually don't know the name of it. I think it's just called the Roger Deakins podcast, but it's Roger Deakins. And he, if you guys don't know, is probably one of the most highly respected, maybe one of the greatest cinematographers we've ever had in history. He's just, look him up, Google him right now if you don't know who he is, because you've probably seen 7 or 8 of his movies, and you'll know exactly why he is so good once you look up some of those movies. But he has a podcast that he started during this whole quarantine thing, and it's absolutely incredible. So I'd really encourage you guys to go listen to that one. That's my favorite podcast that I'm listening to right now. It has nothing to do with running. It has to do with movies, which everyone likes movies, right? So yeah. Stephanie Lynn, hello, coming in from Southwest Colorado, originally from Indiana. Purdue grad, nice. Boiler up. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a Purdue grad, and I also work at Purdue right now as well. Work at home for Purdue. I don't know if I'm ever going back to the office. They're talking, who knows? We don't know. No one knows. Eric the Red has a question. How many hours of editing did you spend on the Triple Crown? Or maybe you didn't count. That's one thing that I wish I would have kept track. So on my phone, I have this app called, what's it called? Timery or something. Yeah, Timery. And it just like you basically like set up some tags for what you want your timers to be saving as, and then you can go in here and like click on like for me, like I keep track of like all the time I spend coaching athletes, and then I was keeping track the last couple weeks. I didn't get this app until the last couple weeks that I was working on the Triple Crown series, but started keeping track of that time just because I was curious, because I had no idea. I mean, I was just working on it as much as possible, but it was easily like minimum like 20 hours a week, and then most weeks it was like pushing closer to 30, because the last couple weeks I actually had tracked, but those weren't anything out of the ordinary. It's just the last 6 months has been like that. So working a full-time job, having a family, 2 kids, and a wife, and coaching business, YouTube, and then this Triple Crown series. The last 6 months have been insane. I don't think I've slept much in the last 6 months, but it's all changed. The Triple Crown series is out, and I have a lot more time. That's why you've seen a lot more YouTube videos. And YouTube seems to be appreciating the fact that I'm uploading more videos, because we've had a lot of new subscribers and a lot of new people visiting the channel. So if you guys are new, thank you for joining. Welcome. This is fun. So to answer your question, Eric, it was minimum like 20 hours a week. Most weeks were probably right around 25, something like that, pushing 30 sometimes. And that really, it affected my running as well, because Saturdays and Sundays are kind of typically when I do my long runs, and it was just, you couldn't at that point, like when you're spending that much time working basically a second job. Matt Roberts says, are you still using the Grit X? I'm very keen. Any further thoughts? I still use the Grit X. I really like that watch a lot. It's a really fun watch to wear because it's super simple. Like the interface, everything about it is just like it works really well. There's no like fancy bells and whistles. Like it's a very comfortable watch. The strap is awesome. The watch itself just sits on my wrist really nicely. And it also connects to my Stride Pod. So I've been able to go on, recently I've done a couple trail runs with it, with my Stride Pod. If you don't know what Stride Pod is, it takes your, it's like a little clip that you put on your shoe, and it takes measurements of, there's a accelerometer inside of it, and there's also a little port that it reads the wind speed and all sorts of different stuff. But it measures your power for running, which is awesome. So if you've done any like cycling or anything, you have a power meter, how important power is for training. And so having a Stride Pod is really, really awesome. And the Polar Grit connects to it just like seamlessly, and displays your power output on the watch face, and it puts it in the data file. So when you upload it to Training Peaks or Strava or whatever, you got your power there. I really like Polar Grit. It's, some people don't like it because it doesn't have a whole lot of like watch faces and everything that you can add to it. But it's just a really, really nice watch, and I like it a lot. It's cheap enough that it's not as expensive as like the Phoenix or anything like that, but it also doesn't have a lot of the features of the Phoenix. Like if you're looking for maps, different stuff like that, it doesn't have it. But they also didn't just get hacked, so there's that. Apparently, I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but apparently Garmin did have to pay out some sort of ransomware ransom money to get some key to unlock their servers or whatever. I don't know. I haven't ran with any of my Garmin devices in a long time, so that it didn't affect me at all. But all you guys out there that are on Garmin, glad that it's all back up and running again. But yeah, I really like the Grid X a lot. I've also been running with my Coros Vertex more, just because, just kind of for fun, like on trails and stuff. Every once in a while, like if I'm just not, also like road runs, if I'm just like not in the mood to like wear headphones or something like that, I just want to get out and just run and just listen to my body and all that. Sometimes I'll just throw on the Vertex. The thing about that is the heart rate monitor on it is pretty much unusable. So it actually kind of got me in trouble. Not in trouble, but there was a very concerning run that I had recently, like a week and a half ago. I put a video on it. It's a video that actually a lot of people are watching that video. I don't know what is in the metadata, but it's over a couple thousand views, which is more than just a normal run-of-the-mill video for me. But I was overheating and dehydrating really bad, and I know enough about my heart rate that I probably would have been able to catch it earlier had I had an accurate heart rate monitor. But I also made decisions that were dumb on that run. I was going on a 7.5 mile loop, and I didn't take any water on me. I just took like one gel for the first 2 loops, and during that second loop got just like really, really messed up and really dehydrated. And then went back out for another couple miles, but was in pretty bad shape. But all that coming back to say, I wish I would have had a better heart rate monitor, because I could have probably made a better decision in the moment. And that's where a lot of times you don't need the best watch. You don't need the most accurate GPS or the best heart rate monitor. But when you get in a critical situation where you need it, then you really need it. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I wear my Apple Watch all the time as well, because it's got the podcasts and audiobooks I listen to on it, and I don't need to take a separate iPod or anything like that, or phone. I never take my phone with me running. Even races, I hate taking my phone in my pack. I just don't want it on me. I also don't have the, what do you call it? 4G or 5G, whatever, Apple Watch. I just have the regular Wi-Fi watch, because I don't want to be able to connect, and maybe hopefully that doesn't get me in trouble someday, but I just want to, when I'm out running, I want to disconnect from the internet and from people sometimes. Let's get into a different question. Terry Joe says, I spent a lot of summers up in Traverse City. Yeah, Traverse City is really, really cool. Good place. And then Terry Joe also says, I would like to start running again. Do you think 5 miles is a good distance, or should it be less? It kind of depends. Like, I would say if you're coming from 0, maybe your first run, try 5 miles. If you're, you've been running a few times here and there, few times over the past couple weeks or months, 5 miles is probably going to be a fine distance. If you are running for me personally, every day during the week, I'm pretty much over the last couple of weeks, I've been hitting like 5 miles a day during the week, just as a lunch hour run. It was, like sometimes when I don't have enough time or something for that, I'll just hit 3, and I'm fine with that too. But 5 miles is a good, just kind of like daily run. Most people will probably finish that, somewhere around an hour or less, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, 5 miles is a great distance to start off on. Now I would say that I wouldn't just go and do 5 miles every day if you're coming kind of like off the couch, as they say. You just need to really listen to your body. Take a day off in between runs. Take a couple days off if you're really not feeling it. If you're starting your run and after a mile or even maybe a mile and a half or 2 miles, you're still just feeling like junk, just pack it in and walk home. Like, don't, especially during this time where we don't have races or anything like this, don't just crush yourself. Just do what feels good. So Red Springs Runner says, as a new Coros owner, I would never go back to Garmin. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that nowadays. It's just every watch brand is just, they all have their pros and cons. Like Coros is just, it's dead simple. It's fairly cheap. The battery life is awesome. There's some shortcomings, but Garmin has shortcomings too, mainly the price. I don't want to pay $900 for a watch. But yeah. And then Polar, like, if you like fancy watch faces, it's not the watch for you because you get two choices, digital and analog, and that's it. You can kind of customize it a little bit and like add the weather and stuff like that. But, yeah. John Truelove, what's up? You made it. Thanks, man. Thanks for stopping by. New setup looks awesome. Thank you very much. That's nice. John's my good buddy. We went running a few times. One time out in Colorado, a place called Leadville. Well, we ran from a place back to Leadville, which was awesome. I have a video on my channel about that. Snowman says, have you ever given any thought into a Biggs Backyard Ultra? Yeah, of course. I mean, I think if you are an ultra runner, and you kind of like follow the sport online, and, I think you see things like that and that piques your interest. So yeah, I've, definitely, thought, what could I, how far could I go if I really pushed myself? I did do a race like that, exactly like that. It's called the Painful Elimination, which was a perfect name for that race. It was over in Illinois, and I kind of signed up like last minute. This was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Signed up like last minute, drove out there on a Friday, like slept in my Jeep, and the race started Saturday morning, and it was like a 4.13 mile loop through trails and some prairie, like almost like cross country course. Parts of it were like that. And it started on the hour, every hour. And if you weren't in the corral when the hour switched over from 59 seconds over to the next hour, you were out. And it was really, really fun. Like I actually didn't know that it was that, like, this was a couple years ago. I don't know if back then it was as popular as it is now, but I didn't really think it was a big deal. Like, I was just like, oh, this is like some weird race. Like, so I went and did it, and my goal was to do a 50K, and I did a 50K, and then went home because two weeks later I had a 50 miler, and then 2 weeks after that I did my first 100. So I went there with a purpose to run 50K and did it, and it was awesome. It's a really, really fun concept. Like, because a lot of people can run, 4.13 miles an hour. It's no problem. A lot of people can run 50K or 50 miles and have a good time. But when you are kind of forced into these rules of stopping and waiting for a certain amount of time and then starting again, it really kind of, it messes with you, like mentally, physically. Because if you go out and you're like, I'm going to run really fast, and I'm going to run, I'm going to get back in 30 minutes and 35 minutes, and I'm going to have like a half hour, 25 minutes to just sit around and chill out. Might work for some people, but you're going to have some problems when you try and stand up and walk back to the corral, because you're going to be all cooled down and everything's, things aren't going to work right. And then there was some people, like there was a guy that just walked the whole thing, and he had it timed out perfectly. And it was, I don't know how far that guy went, but he was coming in pretty much right as we were needing to leave. He would like fill up his water bottle, and then we would go back out. I don't know what I did. I think I tried to hit somewhere around like 45 minutes per lap. Because there wasn't a whole lot of vertical gain or anything. It was trails. It was, pretty flat. So I was running about 10, 12-minute miles, something like that. And so right around like 45 minutes or so, enough time to get back to the car, refill your bottle, grab a little snack or something. It was a really, really fun event. And at the time, the limit was 50 miles for that race because they didn't want to be there forever. But now I think they go all weekend, up to 100 miles, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, if you have a chance to do something like that, definitely try it, or just do it at your house. Just, come up with I think the Big Backyard Ultra is something like 4.13 miles, something like that. So just make a course, 4.13 miles, and then start at 7 a.m. this Saturday, and then just go for it. See how it is. So, Jody Runs has a question. I am looking at starting a channel. Do you have any recommendations for film channels or podcasts for making short film style content? Yeah, I will give you, I'll give you one suggestion. Go subscribe to the Film Riot podcast and YouTube channel. Film Riot has been around for, I don't know, long time, longer than my channel. And they put out some really, really awesome stuff. The guy there, his name is Ryan also. So that's pretty cool. Their podcast is great. Their YouTube channel is great. They do just a ton of like tutorials and behind the scenes stuff, and just really, really fun. If you're into video, if you're into editing, filmmaking, coloring, anything like that. And then it will be a running channel. So that's awesome, Jody. Yeah, go check out Film Riot. And then Alex says, great call on the Ultra Olympus 4, first zero drop trail shoes, and I'm loving them. Forgot I had new shoes on for the first 5 miles until I kicked a rock and didn't blow up my toe. Yeah. Yeah. The Olympus 4 are really, really good shoes. I put up that first video, and it was just a short, like quick run during lunch. And then, I did like a 15 miler in them last weekend. And they're great. Like, I like them a lot. The upper has changed quite a bit since it's been maybe like 2.5 years that they've had this other upper, and then it's a brand new shoe, so it's really good. They got rid of a little bit of the bulky cushion in the back and the heel, which was nice because I always thought that was just kind of a little bit extra back there. But yeah, good shoe. They changed the lug pattern a little bit too. So it's, both runs I did in it, were, pretty dry trails. So I haven't ran in mud yet with the Olympus 4, but seems like it's gonna be a really, really good shoe. And then Ralph Smith says, do you ever see other branded shoes that you'd like to try? And do you enjoy being a brand ambassador? Yeah, I do really like being a brand ambassador for Ultra. But yeah, at the same time, like I see there's a lot of cool shoes out there. I don't know how long I'm going to be with Ultra. They keep asking me to come back, so I do. It's really a good team, and the perks are awesome, and Ultras have always been good to my feet, so I haven't had any need to try different shoes. Like if I'll say this, if Ultras ever like caused me problems, or I felt like I was starting to get injured, or they just like weren't for me or something anymore, like there's no way that I would stay with them. But I I really like Ultra shoes, and especially this year, like with all the coronavirus and everything going on and no races, they're coming out with their best shoes ever this year. And like, I wouldn't have said that several years over the past 5 years that I've been an ambassador for them, but this year it's like every shoe they're nailing it, and it's really, really cool. But yeah, someday I'll try some other shoes. St. Michael Hike says, thanks for the feedback on the shoe question. Yeah, I remember you. I think I just replied to your comment today. Think I will try Olympus for longer runs. I normally wear minimalist shoes, but I'm willing to try these out. Yeah. I think it's really good for your feet and for your running to try different types of shoes. I think it's great to have like minimal shoes. I think it's good to have some shoes that are more maximum cushion. I think it really does. I've noticed, especially this year, that I've made a point to really rotate in lots of different kinds of shoes. Like my road running shoes, I've got the Torin, I've got the Torin Plush, I've got the Viho, I've got the Escalante, and I've got the Provision. And that's pretty much, I also have the Duo. So that's pretty much everything that Ultra offers in their road lineup. And, you know, I don't really, except for this past week, I'll explain that in a second, but I don't really run in the same shoe multiple days in a row. I pretty much will run in like the Provision, and then in the Viho, and then the Torin Plush, and maybe throw in the Duo, and then like go back and forth. And I've really been like listening to my body, which has been a big thing, and picking shoes based off of what I felt like I needed for that day, what type of workout it was, what my calves and my body was telling me. Do I need something that's, a little bit more stable? Do I need something that's a little bit more cushiony, like the Plush or something like that? Or am I feeling really good and I've got an interval session today, and so I'm going to put on the Vihos because I just want to go fast, or the Escalantes or something like that. So I think it's really good to have like an arsenal of shoes, and you don't need to have like 6 or 8 different kinds of shoes. I think 2 is fine. Even on the trails, I think it's a good idea to have a couple different pairs of shoes. Even different brands is fine too. If you wear Ultras, sometimes it might be hard to go back and forth between Ultras and something like a Nike or something that has a huge drop. But I think it's good to have different types of shoes because it'll help strengthen your feet in different ways. It will help your body recover, and then it'll help. There's just a lot of benefits to having different types of shoes. So if you have a shoe like the Olympus, and then you also have a shoe like the Superior, those are pretty much as different as they get in Ultra's trail lineup. But I think it's good for you. So yeah. Try a couple different pairs of shoes. Dan Darling says, the painful elimination is like 10 minutes from where I live. Now they have a last man standing contest. Run of the Dead is similar. More north in Illinois, maybe. That's awesome. I didn't know you lived that close to painful elimination. That's cool. That's a awesome race. And last man standing contest is pretty cool. That can go on forever. Yeah. And then John says, yes, you need exactly 2 pairs of blue Olympus and red Olympus. Yeah, John, I think you only run in Olympus, don't you? Yeah. But yeah, a little bit about just like what's been going on, like with me running and everything. I am starting to get back into more of a. I'm starting to have that itch to like plan a little bit more of my running schedule and everything. Over the past, like I would say, month and a half to maybe even 2 months. ever since I really found out that Cruel Jewel was canceled. It's funny, like I almost can't even hardly remember what race or races I was signed up for this year. But I was signed up to run the Cruel Jewel 100 on May 15th, and that was canceled beginning of April or so. So last couple months, last 2 or 3 months, I've just been kind of like no plan really, but I've kind of been having that itch to like get back into a little bit more structure. But I will say that having no structure has been pretty good. It is good for you to not have any strict training plan for some time. For me, I'm still on my run streak. I just looked it up on my app. 222 days in a row, which is crazy. Like, I have never thought of myself as being someone that would be a person that does a run streak. And it's like, at this point, of course, yeah, I'm trying to keep it going, but at the beginning, it never started like that. But just crossed over 1,400 miles for the year, which is pretty sweet. Last year, with all my injuries and everything, I hit 1,000 miles on like December 30th, 1st or something like that. Like I really pushed like the last week to hit 1,000 miles in 2019, but 1,400 miles so far for the year. So it's looking like as long as I stay injury free and just run smart and keep doing what I'm doing, I'll hit 2,000 miles this year, which has been a goal of mine for the last couple of years, but I've just hit some bad luck with injuries over the last couple of years. Last year started off in the spring with IT band syndrome, which is very painful. Not the worst injury you can have, and it's very manageable. Like, you can go get physical therapy and work it out in just a couple of weeks, which is what I did. I chose to go do some physical therapy, and but yeah, that really hampered my running last year. And then at the Mohican 100 last year, fell and tore cartilage in my ankle, and I had to take like 3 months off of running completely after that. So last year was just kind of a big bad year of injuries. So this year has been really, really awesome, really encouraging for myself, just to be like, yeah, okay, like I'm not like defined by these injuries anymore. Like, I'm really pushing forward. But then, so I was really taking everything super seriously in this winter and spring, like training for Cruel Jewel, because, it's like I wanted something that was like really, really hard. All 100 milers are hard, but I wanted to really tackle something just crazy. And then it gets canceled, and so then you're kind of lost. But what I have found, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have found as well, if you stuck with your running, is that when you don't have a strict plan to follow and you're just running because you want to, it's so much more freeing. And it's different for everybody, so I'm not going to like try and define it super carefully, but for myself, it's just been just really, really enjoyable to be like, I know I'm running today. I'm going to run, like most days I run around lunchtime or so. So I know I'm going to run every day. And then when I'm putting on my shoes, I'm like, what do I feel like today? Do I feel like 5 miles? Do I feel like 10 miles? Do I feel like 3 miles? And then I just go do it. And it's a lot more fun, I would say. It's a lot more loose. It's a lot more carefree. The last couple weeks and last month or so, I haven't really, maybe 6 weeks, I haven't really worried about pace at all. I've just kind of gone out there and run for fun, not really watching my heart rate. But I know that, I'm keeping it in zone 2. I'm keeping it low zone 3. I'm not just going out there and like blasting myself, just running for fun. But this week I threw in an interval session, which was really fun. Actually saw some YouTube video about how to set up your Coros watch to do intervals. And so I was like, I've never done that before. So took the Coros watch out and set up some intervals and did some, fast miles, and that was really fun. And I think that workout, which was like Monday or something, was that yesterday? Maybe it was like Friday of last week. I don't know. But anyway, like that workout where it was just like randomly watched a YouTube video in the morning and then set up some intervals on my watch and went out and did it. Kind of gave me the itch to get back into some sort of a training plan. But yeah, I haven't had any goal, no plan, no schedule, just making sure I run every day. Just kind of like reconnecting with running again. So it's been fun. But yeah, looking at, like seeing what I can put together. Pretty much everything's canceled. There are still a couple races going on this fall, but one of them that I really, really want to go back to and do is the Mohican 100, because I did 80 miles of it. And I want to go back and finish that thing. But it's on a Halloween this year, which sounds like it would be really awesome, and it's probably going to be a blast, but I can't, like my kids love dressing up for Halloween, so I can't do that. But I am going to try and plan some sort of like self-supported or maybe group 100-miler or something for the fall. So excited about that. Do you hear my dog? He hears something outside probably. St. Michael Hike says all the other races in their series have been canceled, but thus far the Pinhoti 100 in Alabama is still on for December. That, I've heard, is a really, really good race. That's cool. December in Alabama. I wonder what the weather is like. It's probably actually really nice weather. December in Alabama. But yeah. So, Pinhoti 100, I don't know a whole lot about that one, but it's always been kind of like one that I've like had on my radar a little bit, just because I've heard really good things about it. So, yeah. Let's see. Dan, count me in if you organize a small group 100. Easy drive over to Indiana. Nice. That'd be cool, man. Yeah, I don't know where we would do. I mean, like I threw out last week, I threw out a couple different places. I think it'd be fun to go up to like Chain of Lakes, which is where the Indiana Trail 100 is. I think that would be a pretty logical place to go do a self-supported. I know that park is so well maintained, and it's a 20-mile loop. And yeah, so that could be fun. John told me not to do roads because he did 100 miles on roads, self-supported, like just randomly, like this spring, because he's crazy. Israel says, hello from Israel. Can you help me please find out what of them I should be buying, Lone Peak 4.5 or Superior? Good question, Israel. That question, actually, a lot of people have that question. And the Lone Peak and the Superior, the biggest difference is there's just a little bit more stack height in the Lone Peak. And then the biggest difference is the tread. The tread on the Lone Peak is much better for like muddy running. The Superior is really it's just like it's a little bit more minimal, but it really like is meant for like either dry or semi-dry conditions. It can be really buffed out trails, really technical, doesn't matter, but it's not the best pick for super muddy. So if someone is buying one pair of shoes, the Lone Peak is probably a safer buy, because you're going to be much more stable. If it starts raining, you get into really muddy conditions. A lot of people also like it because it's got a little bit more cushion. But yeah, those are two really good shoes. Lone Peak, I went through a phase this winter where I went through a couple pairs of Lone Peaks, and that was like the only thing I wore on the trails. For just a couple 100 miles, only wore Lone Peaks on trails. But, yeah. Mark Garrigan says, do you think the Lone Peaks have gotten slimmer in the forefoot? Good to see you, Mark. Yeah, if you guys don't know, Mark is a race director, and I went up and did like a promo video for one of his races, and that was really fun. Really good race director. So do you think the Lone Peaks have gotten slimmer in the forefoot? Yeah, they have changed. The Lone Peak, like a couple of years ago, it was a totally 100% different shoe, in my opinion. And I forget which version it was, maybe the 3.0, but that was just a major change, and it was a completely different shoe. And it felt a lot more like 2 or 3 years ago, the Lone Peaks, this is going to be confusing, but it feels like a couple years ago, the Lone Peak kind of pushed out the Superior, became the Superior, and then they made the Superior even more minimal, because a couple years ago, the Superior had, it was thicker, it was a higher stack height, it was more cushion, it was much more robust upper, and it was just a totally different shoe. And nowadays, the Lone Peak is more like what the Superior used to be. So yes, it has gotten kind of like tighter, I would think. And I think in the forefoot, like the lacing's totally different, the upper's totally different, totally different shoe. And now the Superior is even more minimal. So I think it has changed quite a bit. So thanks for stopping by, Mark. Good to see you. Yeah, we did. So there's a video on my channel called the High Cliff Ultra, and that was a really fun. That was a really fun weekend up there in Wisconsin. Just helping out, filming at that race. Good, really, really good group of people that take care of that race. Mark's a good guy. And then, so Jonathan Western, ever tempted by a non-ultra shoe? If so, what shoe? Feel free not to answer. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of shoes out there that look cool. I don't know. Like, I've always wanted to, whatever that new, what's that new Nike shoe that all the records are being broken in? That would be fun to try on. I've never, I don't think I'm actually fast enough to probably like notice anything in that shoe. I think it's meant for people that are running like 5-minute miles. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it's the one that everyone's breaking every record in. I think that would be fun to just put on and be like, what is this moon boot on my foot that is making me run faster? It's got a carbon plate in it. Vaporfly, that's right. Stefano, thank you very much. That's what it's called. I hope next year Ultra comes out with a carbon fiber plated shoe. I don't see how they can't be working on one right now, because every other company out there has a shoe with a carbon fiber plate in it. But it's obviously not an easy thing to do. Obviously, if you do it wrong, it's going to be terrible. But yeah, that would be really fun. That'd be fun to try out something like that. As far as trail shoes go, I've pretty much like, the Ultra lineup is really good for me. Like, I don't really see any trail shoes out there that I'm like, oh, I really need to try those. So yeah, I'm good with my trail shoes. Road shoes, there's some cool technology out there though. It would be fun to just try out. And then I get a lot of questions about how many miles you can get out of a pair of shoes, which is kind of different for everybody. It's like, I think it really depends on what type of runner you are, what type of foot strike you have. But I think like for me, I also am probably not the best person to ask because I pretty much always stop at like 200 miles or 250 miles. I usually don't go that much farther than that in a pair of shoes. But yeah, I think most shoes nowadays, they're not making them unless you're buying specific shoes that are, I don't know, incredibly reinforced. Most shoes aren't meant to go much farther than like 200, 250 miles. They just start breaking down because of the foam that everyone's using now. Especially if you run every day in your shoe, it's going to break down faster too. Your shoes are going to last longer if you have a rotation of 2 or 3 pairs of shoes because the foam does need a day or two to bounce back. So if you run 3 times a week or something, you're probably going to be fine. But if you run every day in the same pair of shoes, they're going to break down faster. The outsoles nowadays aren't made with as much rubber as they used to be. Like there's a lot of foam in them. I did get a couple questions on the Olympus outsole because there's a lot of foam on it. And I have not seen any extra wear in that foam on trails. But if you ran roads, you're going to see that foam wear out a little bit faster. But yeah, I get a lot of questions about how long are these shoes going to last? How many miles can you get out of them? And honestly, it's just different for everybody. But I think for me, I can feel right around that 200 miles, sometimes earlier. But I can just feel a shift in how shoes feel. So I usually don't take them much past that. But Red Springs Runner, getting ready to buy my 3rd pair of Temps 1.5. Nice. I really like the Temp 2s a lot. I think they made a really good, I think that upgrade was really good, but people are really split on that because that's another pair of shoes that made a big change in their design from the original version to the version they have now. The original version didn't really work for me. They were a little bit too wide, and my foot just kind of swam around in there a little bit too much. Temp 2s are a lot more, they're a little bit tighter. So, yeah. Joel Walters, digging the new studio setup, Ryan. Thanks, Joel. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to have this. You know, I've been kind of like thinking about like what to do, and now having a little more time on my hands that the Triple Crown series is over. And there's my dog again. I don't know what he's hearing outside, but anyway, yeah, just a lot more time on my hands to kind of like redesign this room a little bit and have just more of like a system that I can just kind of like plug into and just go. So you'll be seeing a lot more videos here. I'm doing like a overhead camera too, because that's like popular on YouTube now. Everybody's got one. So for like, you know, like product demos and stuff, like show you guys a little bit more detailed, like different views of stuff. So that's going to be fun. That's almost done. But yeah, really digging this new studio setup and just being able to have a space where I can just create faster. I think that's the biggest thing that I've been learning, because over this Triple Crown series, I've had put so much time into like the editing process and coloring and sound design and all of that. And now just kind of what I'm working on is just making sure I can get into that zone quicker. So just redesigning some stuff really helps out a lot. So thanks for all the nice comments, you guys. We'll see. Joel also said, I found Topo shoes to be a suitable alternative to Ultras. Ever tried them? Specifically the Mountain Racer or the ST3s. I realize you're on the Ultra team. Yeah, I don't know. I know Ginger Runner just put up a video or two about Topos, I think. I've never ran in them. Honestly, I haven't ran in anything but Ultras in like the last 5 years. So if anything came out in the last 5 years that is cool. I haven't worn them, unfortunately. That's one thing that, it's great. Like, I say unfortunately because there's been a lot of cool innovation and stuff, but yeah, it's really great being on the ultra team. But I just haven't been able to try anything else. So, and then Dylan says, my knee feels kind of weird. Haven't ran in over a month. Sorry to hear that, Dylan. Yeah, that's, injuries suck bad. So sorry to hear that, Dylan. But what I would say is, obviously I'm not a doctor. This isn't professional advice, but don't do anything that is questionable or you feel like is, pushing a little bit too far. Like, just take what the body is giving you, especially during this time. You have, there's no races out there right now. There's nothing, unless you're training for an FKT or something, there's no reason to really push right now. So for everyone out there, just do what is good for your body. So, but yeah. I have a couple of other things, but I think I'm going to wrap it up. So if you have any other questions, drop them in real quick, and I'll answer them. But I'm trying to keep these live streams to right around an hour or just under. I don't know why. Some people do live streams for 2 or 3 hours, but I don't think I have, I don't know. And I'm an ultra runner, but I don't know if I could do 2 or 3 hours of live streaming. I think an hour is kind of the sweet spot. So if you have a question, drop it in. A couple comments just came in, but not questions. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for joining. It's always a blast to hang out with you guys and answer questions and just go over stuff. So that's where I'm going to stop this. I will see you guys again real soon. I'll probably do this again next Tuesday night. I think that's the night that works the best for me and the family. So come back then. But in the meantime, I'll try to post a couple videos on the channel. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.